Hi guys! This list of 10 strongest characters in The Witcher is up to date with the books, the Netflix TV series, animated film, and video games included. However, the biggest influence for this list comes from the books. The thing is, although The Witcher books have been out for a long time, and the games have been a fan favorite for a while, there's still relatively scant information about the world out there on the internet. With the second season of the show about to come out, however, you can expect that to quickly change as people the world over fall in love with The Witcher. Warning: heavy spoilers ahead. 10. Philippa Eilhart. Mages are well represented on this list. Last place at number 10 is Philippa Eilhart. Philippa is strong enough to bring down the Brotherhood of Sorcerers and found the Lodge. In addition to her magical potency, she is able to transform herself into an owl. So that's pretty cool. 9. Tetra Gilchrist. A character revealed in the Netflix animated feature, Gilchrist shows incredible magical and combat ability, able to lift massive illusions, and send magical arrows soaring through the air. She almost defeats Vesemir, and only really loses to him thanks to Vesemir's teacher's help. Of course, one of the reasons she was able to fare so well against Vesemir is also thanks to the help of a mutated elf's illusory powers. Still, Gilchrist is not a sorceress to be trifled with. Had she lived to the time of the main Witcher story, she would have been either a powerful ally or adversary, probably adversary, to the Witcher's cause. 8. Vesemir. Don't be fooled by his elderly appearance in the Witcher games. According to a recent film released by Netflix, Vesemir is a badass. In the film, we see him accomplish feats that make Geralt look like an amateur. Unlike his student, the young Vesemir chooses to become a Witcher as a way to escape a life of servitude and poverty. And it works. Of course, back in those days monster hunting paid better than it did in the time of Geralt, and witchering was very much a viable career. In the times of Geralt in the books, unlike in the games, monsters are few and far between, and Geralt is never exactly swimming in coin. 7. Regis. Your friendly neighborhood vampire. Regis is one of the most likable characters in the Witcher books, and also makes an appearance in the Blood and Wine expansion pack for the game. Although he was once a bloodthirsty vampire, he changed his ways, no longer feasting on human blood. Still, that doesn't make Regis any less dangerous when the time comes for him to use his powers. When Geralt first reveals he knows of his identity as a higher vampire, he himself admits that he is not sure whether or not he could beat the monster. Yet Regis is not a monster at all. He is learned, thoughtful, and very in touch with his friends and their feelings. 6. Avalakh. Avalakh may not be a powerhouse like the other characters on this list, but he certainly has access to ancient and arcane powers. In the books and the games he is a major proponent of moving the battle against Eredin along. In fact, if it weren't for Avalakh, Ciri probably would never have been able to defeat the Wild Hunt and fulfill the prophecy. 5. Yennefer. Yennefer is one tough cookie. She could go head-to-head with any character on this list, and have a chance of winning. However, she loses a few points due to her lose at the hands of Vilgefortz. Of course she'd been through an ordeal at that point. She also has elven blood which raises the level of her magic beyond that of her peers, second magically only to Vilgefortz himself. You can't really mess with Yennefer, and if you are playing the game, I'd highly recommend not getting on her bad side by choosing to fall in love with Triss. 4. Eredin. An evil elf, Ciri first has some fondness for Eredin when she meets him in her world. However, after realizing his true nature, Ciri decides it's time to get the heck out of there and get as far away from Eredin as she can. Of course, Eredin wants to capture Ciri and use her to open up the gates to all the different worlds so he can rule all. Pretty intense stuff. As a bad guy, his ambitions make Vilgefortz look pretty unmotivated. Eredin's main power is transferring between worlds and bringing with him a terrible army of powerful soldiers like himself. 3. Vilgefortz. Despite his somewhat confusing introduction in the show, and the fact that he somehow lost in a fight against Cahir, Vilgefortz is a ridiculously powerful mage. He's so strong in fact, that when Geralt, not a lightweight himself, first faced him, he got ridiculously manhandled. In fact, He was so badly damaged by Vilgefortz that he basically spent a large part of the story recuperating from his wounds. Handsome, eternally youthful, and powerful, Vilgefortz had it all before his eventual fall. 2. Geralt of Rivia. For some reason, most people like to rank Geralt a lot lower down in the power hierarchy in his universe than he should be. Sure, Geralt does not have the raw power of a mage like Yennefer or Vilgefortz, but his ability to improvise gives him a strong edge in the battlefield. Also, it's hinted at that Geralt's max power is probably a lot greater than we ever see given the fact that he also has mage blood. His mother was a mage, and he is rather gifted with magic. He simply prefers to fight with his swords, so he never gets too into practicing magic. This also might sound cheesy, but one of Geralt's greatest strengths is the fact that he has a good temperament and makes friends easily, despite what you might think from the show and games. In fact, books Geralt is pretty talkative, likes to philosophize about life, and is perfectly fine talking about his feelings, stating that the whole Witchers don't have feelings bit is a bit of myth used to dehumanize Witchers in the eyes of humans. If you need further proof that Geralt is one of the baddest characters in the Witcher universe, he was able to defeat Vilgefortz. 1. Ciri. Ciri is the de facto strongest character in The Witcher. Even though you might think the book is mostly about Geralt, or maybe even Yennefer, in reality the whole story is about Ciri. And actually, it's really cool the way that the Witcher games are able to fulfill the story of Ciri. She does end up saving the world in the end and fulfills the prophecy about her. Not only does Ciri have mastery over time and space, she sort of has the best of both her teachers, the control over her powers that Yennefer taught her, and the Witcher skills Geralt taught her.